Yo, what's up, No Niche, man? Listen, I had to come back up on here. I was just, live streaming just not too long ago, like maybe about just a few minutes ago, actually. And one of the things that I realized is uh my microphone wasn't on. It just sounds so crazy. And I'm like, how could I not have a microphone on? So I'm doing this whole live thing over, and even after 12 o'clock, like I don't have to go someplace, before the morning comes in. I was just testing this out, testing my audio out. So yeah, it is what it is. We're here. So listen, I want to say something. If you notice, the title is called Vision is 2020, right? And when you have perfect vision, it's nothing you can't do when you have perfect vision. In fact, let me see if I can keep. Okay, cool. Just in case anybody come up here, so that we can see what's what. So I had to come back up here because my audio was whack. So I'm doing this live over. So look, I want to give homage to Kai Cenat, only because he's most relevant right now. By the way, I'm drinking Sunkist. Please don't judge me. And they're not sponsoring me, but if they do, if they want to, Sunkist, what's up? What's up? So listen, I want to say I'm going to give homage to Kai Cenat only because he's most relevant. He got what they call streaming university. There's millions, thousands actually, thousands of kids and content creators and streamers who will try to attend, SU all the time, streaming university. And what's so ingenious about what he does is that everybody have to stream through his Twitch. So they could see everybody and where they're going and rather they're off. And he can also have control of them, control of who will stream and who will not stream. People have had their streams go all the way up being in SU, streaming university. However, whomever Kai Cenat, let me say it again. I'm sorry, it's getting late. Whoever Kai Cenat have been getting mentoring from, he is doing it from the right perspective. And I'm not saying that he's not ingenious to come up with his own ideas and stuff like that, but to be guided in the right direction on the business aspect, the financial aspect, and to keep himself relevant, which is what I'm talking about. So vision is 2020. Nobody can see anything without having good vision, and having good vision is doing what Kai Cenat is doing. Now, I'm not saying this so I can get clout. I don't care about none of that. I don't care if anybody discovered this video and or not. This is No Niche. We don't care about that, jabronis. We don't get down like that. If you get a view of whatever the case to be, that's good. I'm happy about it. But at the end of the day, we're here to talk to whoever we're going to talk to, whoever's listening. So I got to go back and say I'm proud of a couple of people because what Kai Cenat is doing, it exemplified what it is that people have done before him. Now, let me tell you exactly what I mean. Let's take a look at Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks was this supermodel, still a supermodel, and she came through the trenches. You feel me? She came through doing everything that she could to be able to win, especially when you have Caucasian women who are like this little, you become this little, then all of a sudden now you're considered to be plus size, and now you out the pageant, and everybody's upset this, than the other. And then two, it wasn't easy for the ladies to be in the dome because not everybody liked each other. Not everybody's personality mixed with each other, So you got to sort of kind of finagle your way all the way through, and not get yourself disqualified because you got into a fight with another young lady or whatever have you. So I'm sure they had men out there too. Well, one thing about Tyra Banks, she also never excluded some of the men, even even at the time that they would promote and stuff like that. And, so when you look at Tyra Banks, notice what she did, the ingeniousness. She came through the trenches and now she opened up another way for other ladies and other models, male and female, to be able to have a chance at, at least getting a big kickoff. And that's why I'm like, I don't understand why people were so mad with Tyra Banks. Now, of course, we all know that she's cheap. She don't like to give that much money, but that's what keeps her relevant. That's what keeps her rich. That's what keeps her financially free. Is that she could do anything that she actually want to do. And that's some of the strategies for anybody who's trying to pursue their business, try to pursue their book or whatever the case may be. You want to take on those traits to sort of kind of like be stingy, in perspective. Being stingy in perspective is what I'm saying. So Think about this. You got you got Tyra Banks, who created her lane. The other person I want to talk to is Mr. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, after he packed out the garden and did some of the biggest stuff that no comedian would ever do, maybe besides Cat Williams. I know him and Cat has some type of static, whatever the case be, but they're both big people and stuff like that. Both great people, in my opinion. Even if they didn't like each other, doesn't mean that they're not nice individually. But Kevin Hart have gone straight to Comedy Central. Creating his own lane and stuff like that for other comedians, and he'll also sit in the congregation. Oh, I said congregation. Oh my goodness, sorry. I thought I was in church. He'll also sit in the audience, just to let you know that my presence is here. Don't worry about it. And you see them backstage anyway. And he'll normally get like at least 4 at a time or whatever the case, And some of them are funny, some of them are, but he still encouraged them. So again, Tyra Banks is somebody who've created her lane. She's seen this already. And here came Kevin Hart. You're making yourself relevant. And that's what it's actually all about. Making yourself very, 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 very relevant, And anybody who have a business, you want to make sure that your brand will keep people coming, Think about this Sunkist bottle. What's the brand to the Sunkist bottle? Can somebody tell me this? Besides those of you who are probably on already, what's the brand to the Sunkist? Is it the logo? Is it the tag? Is it the label? Is it the way that the bottle is made? Or is it the context? Is it what's inside? I would like to think, for lack of better words, it's what's inside the bottle that become the brand. So in other words, a brand is the gut feeling of the customer rating or about how good they feel that your product actually is. And that's how you'll know if you got it going on. Sometimes, you might have to wait a year or so. The reason why I'm saying that's because I had the good privilege of interviewing a man by the name of Mr. Carlin. He sells colognes and stuff like that. Let me show you exactly what Mr. Carlin looked like. Very, very good guy, very positive guy. I must say a good smelling guy because he sells colognes, he makes perfumes and stuff like that. And you got people who actually do stuff like this, right? But at the same time, it only lasts for about maybe 5 minutes. And then on top of that, after you keep smelling it over and over and over, you're like, it kind of suck, and then you're like, wow, maybe there's a bad choice or whatever the case may be, but let me just move on. You feel me? So yeah, so that's what it's all about, y'all. It's about creating your own lane, doing what it is that will help other people get value out of what you do. Not only that, but people are happy that they ever got a chance to make it. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at this real quick, y'all. His name is Mr. Carlin. He makes the colognes, like I said. I bought from him. He got what they call Blue Torch just over 4 years now. He's been working right there on Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center, right outside, and between Flatbush and I think is it Ashland, yeah. And so just to a little rewind, that's his website there, or his email. Try it out. You know what's so crazy about his colognes? I bought some more today. And again, like I said, your brand is what's inside of the bottle. His brand. So here's the deal. I went to go interview Mr. Carlin, but did not know how to approach him. I was being a scaredy cat. I was like, yo, when I was at It's Life, man, I was stopping everybody. It's Life podcast, stopping everybody on the street. Yo, let me ask you this. Let me ask you that. And I had some type of, something that I just don't really have, I guess, today. However, I said, I know how I'm going to approach this. So I went to go buy some cologne from Mr. Carlin. This brother right here. I went to go buy some cologne from this guy. Man, when I tell you, it's not the bottle, but your brand is the context inside of it. You feel what I'm saying? When I tell you I sprayed twice and that's all, and oh man, just the fragrance. And I'm not selling him. I promise y'all. I'm not selling him. You go someplace else and get some type of clone or whatever the case may be. But he's been doing this for about over 4 years now. You know, I asked him, and I wanted to ask him this real meaty question, which was, how long did it take you before you accumulated some traction? You know, in other words, how long did it take you before you got your first lead, before you got your first customer that were not your family? You know, he said, yo, it took a little over a year. He says, I would advise anybody who's in business, you know, give yourself at least about a year or a little over a year to be able to, you know, find some traction, to be able to, you know, have the right resources and things like that that you need, so that by the time it's go time and everybody start coming in, you're already prepared. You feel me? So that was Mr. Carlin. And I mean, besides people who are trying to start stuff, start their business, start their book writing, start their album and stuff like that, you know, Mr. Carlin is already in it. So, you know, kudos to Mrs. Tyra Banks. Kudos, you know what I'm saying, to Kai Cenat. Kudos to Mr. Kevin Hart. You know, Kevin Hart, he also created the lane, like I said earlier, you know, and he'll sit in the audience and laugh like everybody else, you know. Mr. Gordon Ramsay, you know, I know we have Mr. Emeril Lagasse that's out there, but you know, but Gordon Ramsay, who loves steaks and love making ribs and stuff. I'm not trying to make you hungry and stuff tonight, you know, but that's what it's all about. And notice this: not only did Mr. Carlin, you know, give me, you know, what it is that I needed, but he also gave me some samples. And notice the color of the bag. You know, people think that black have all to do with funerals. Wrong. Y'all did that. That was the wrong thing. Funeral colors are really purple, because purple is really the mourning color. Black is formal. Black is eloquent. Black says, this is what's up. Black says it's serious. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not mean, you know. So yeah. So again, it was the context. It was the brand. The brand that's inside is the stuff that I spray, and I go, dang, this is so good. And it is lasting a long, long time, and it goes with your body chemicals. So when you look at these individuals, you know, like constant at keeping the Streamer University, and what's so ingenious about it, that everybody who goes into the university and make it, they all have to stream. And this is the thing that will cause all of their views to go all the way up. So people are twitching, people are YouTubing and stuff like that, and their views are sky because everybody's watching. Very good, Mr. Kai Cenat, ingenious to have that going, you know. Also, you know, like I said, Tyra Banks, ingenious, you know what I'm saying? La Plume and all that good stuff. Yo, you know, Kevin Hart keeping the comedy going. You know, we had Def Comedy Jam at one time. Now we down in Comedy Central that was around the time of Def Comedy Jam. I think it was like 2 different times that they'll come on, you know, but you see which one prevailed. You feel what I'm saying, you know? So again, and then too, you have a person in the name of Nick Cannon who is not only a kid at heart, you know, but he wanted to create something that would continue to call out the kid in him. And it was called Wildin' Out, you know? So he created a lane for, you know, adults to be silly without apology. Then there's a cutoff point because some of them are in Stream University and they got their classes and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And like me, I got to go to work in the morning. I need to get up out of here. So with that being said, listen, you know, it's okay, you know, to be a little selfish, you know, and start to look at your lane, look at what you do, and you know, and begin to write out what you call reverse engineer. Like if this Sunkiss was my destination, you know, to what I want to do here on Earth, you know, I'm definitely going to make sure I see what it looked like. You know, vision is 2020. You know, hindsight. I want to see what the you know the bottle is going to become and the label. I want to see this before it happens. That's what visionaries do. You know, and of course the taste is inevitable. You feel what I'm saying? So, and then when you start this from the beginning, and I only mean, you know, metaphorically, not figuratively, not physically. If you looked at this and you're like, this is what I want my product to look like, set it there and then come all the way back to the beginning. That's what you call reverse engineer. You feel what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, everything becomes very, very easy. And then the brand sells itself when you do your part. I tell you, when I went to go see my friend Carlin, man, I sprayed this spray one time and I was like, I'm going to be back. That was the first time I met him. And the first time I was scared to ask him about how long did it take him, before he got traction and stuff like that. How long do you think that it's going to take the average, CEO entrepreneur, to make something happen? He says, yo, bro, I would give it a little over a year, depending upon who you are, and within reason. You want to give yourself ample time. You feel what I'm saying? But here's the deal: create your lane. Start to create a particular community and create your own lane. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why, and I'm gonna tell you what all of them have in common. When it comes down to Nick Cannon, when it comes down to Kevin Hart, when it comes down to Streaming University, whoever else that's participating in that, you feel me? And it comes down to all of these great, wonderful people, Emerald Lagasse, or Gordon Ramsay, come down to all these wonderful people. They are already prepared as to what is that they're going to prepare on stream, so that they don't have to be running back and forth and this, that, and the other. Ingenious. But they're also creating a lane for other cooks, other cooks. And I think Bobby Flay have what they call Beat Bobby Flay. It's out of an extension of Iron Chef and Chopped, So he got this beat me at whatever it is that you think you can cook best, and people have beat him, and most of them fail, and it wasn't because of the judges who were in his favor, but no, for real. So again, create. Well, first of all, go after what your passion is. Go after your avatar, your ikigai, which is your passions about what is it you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself about a good year, which is what Mr. Kalen said, to be able to find traction and be patient with what the process looks like. Even if you see somebody else who's moving further than you, even if they started after you. Continue to stay paced and don't lose who you are. Don't lose what you are and what you're capable of doing. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how slow or fast you move. It's all about getting there and finishing the line. You feel me? That's what it's all about. Yo, that's it. Your boy Donald Francis Show. Have a good night. Have a good morning. All right. And see you sometime tomorrow. Peace. Hope you had a good time.